Cek lah. Jackson. Cek. Cek cek.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we will proceed to the presentation by moving into the second session.
This time it will be moderated by Waode MED. Over to you, Miss Waode.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For kindness and being patient to stay here. And now I would just start our second plenary. And with all due respect, I invite Professor Dr. Aris Munandar, MPD, to come to the stage as our keynote speaker. Please give a round of applause to MPD. I will greet our presenters and who join us through our Zoom meeting. Yeah, you can see from the Zoom meeting, we have Professor. Well, welcome to our keynote speakers and for all audience who join us Zoom meeting and YouTube to the first Pedagogika International and Educational Innovation, the title Building Resilience in the Time of New Normal, that held by Faculty of Education and the 5th Ismapi Kongres Universitas Negeri Gorontalo. First and foremost, I would like to introduce myself. As you have heard, my name is Ode Eti, and I will be the moderator for the second plenary session. And also, I would like to welcome our first speaker, that is Professor Branislav Pupalo, PhD, from Trnava University, Slovakia. Professor Brano, we call him Brano, is our close partner in UNG, especially in Faculty of Education. We have some joint program together, and this year one of our students went to Trnava University, Slovakia to do a transfer credit program with the student from Trnava University. Well, without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Brano to start his presentation of our conference today. Please, Professor Brano, you can start your conversation.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me, please? Yeah.
Yes,
if
very,
it is
very
possible
clear.
to hear me, so I would like to greet everybody, especially those who are presently at the conference in Gorontalo by Zoom. I'm really very sorry that I cannot attend this conference personally, and I'm not there with you. But as a matter, it is to see each other by the internet. Again, as it was told, I'm from Slovakia, and it is central part of Europe. So firstly, please, I would like to ask you, can I share my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, please. Can we?
I will try it because it is in my computer, and I will try if possible. Yeah, and
Okay. Pak Brano, mohon dijadikan co-host. Baik. Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, I start already. It is possible to see.
Yes, but it's still a black screen. I think it's not showing up just yet. Maybe a few minutes. Okay, now it's showing out. Yeah.
It is possible to see. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I think that we can start. According to my information, I will present my presentation in 15 or 20 minutes. And the title of my presentation is very simple. It is Profession for Early Childhood Education. And this presentation will be aimed to the basic questions. What is the profession in early childhood education area? I think this question seems to be very simple, but it's quite complicated. It is not very easy to explain this question, and it is like something for present time and future time, where the question is where to target the support of this profession and its development. What I would like to stress in the beginning of my presentation, the perspective of my presentation is, of course, European perspective, because when we are speaking about our educational issues, we still should be aware about the context where we are, where we work, what is the history of some topics or something like that. So this perspective is European. I think there are many common issues which are very very similar when we are speaking about preschool education and care in European countries or in Africa or in Asia countries, including Indonesia. I divided my presentation to the six like sub, because every topic must be mentioned to explain deeply or to understand deeply the main topic, what is the profession for early childhood education. If we want to understand what the profession is in the present time, we must go to, because the profession, how we perceive our profession in present day, the days, depends on history of this profession or this area when the profession is operating. From history, we can understand what is professional identity of people who are working in early childhood education area. So from history, we can think about identity, who I am as a preschool teacher when I am working, for example, in Indonesia, and identity of the persons are part of their everyday professional life. Also aware what is the mission of early childhood, early care and education, and when we speak about this mission and aspects of this mission, we can better understand what aspects of professionalism we have in this profession. So just in the next part, I will explain more that it is service for not only for children, it is service also for community and society. And after that, I think the last point will be about not only about teachers or teacher as one person, but when we are speaking about schools, when we are speaking about institutional education, including kindergartens, there are not only persons. Sometimes there is only person. For example, in kindergarten, we must think about teamwork in early childhood education. So, what does it mean to when we are speaking about support of the preschool education or institution for preschool education? What kind of people are working there? We must take them together as a team. So firstly, I would like just to explain or to go back to the history of preschool education or care and education. We should be aware that preschool education is not only about education, or it is historically, we can see as when we are speaking about institutions were established for young children. The history is, I'm speaking about history which is 300 years old. And firstly, when we started across the Europe to establish first institution aimed to very young children, it was not educational issue. Service for neglected and poor children. So we couldn't speak at that time about educational mission and social mission. The second historically, the second point was in the development of preschool education was to support, or it was support for middle class children. So children from the middle class family, and of early childhood care developed or has been changed to the or maybe not changed. It was to the social and economic mission. It was still not firstly about educational mission. It was economic mission. Economic mission means that it was support for middle class and their children, just to support middle class as a part of the society, and society cannot be developed well without middle class family. The next step of the development of preschool service was service for employed mothers who were interested in quality education of their children. At that time, the social and economic mission was something like more stressed, also pedagogical mission. In 20th century, especially in the beginning of the 20th century, and especially in countries like my country or Central Europe or European countries in the East, there was big stress how to improve public health. Public health was the political mission of the government or the countries, and you could directly see how when they started to be aimed to the health mission or a medical mission. We used to think that it was medicalization of preschool education and care. And only last issue, which is important and discussed and followed in preschool education, was preparing children for school and their future. So only it is maybe 50 or not 70 years ago when preschool education started to be understood as a preparation children for the school. So now we are going through the some important missions historically: charity, social mission, economic mission, medical mission, and lastly pedagogical mission. So you can see directly here that we started to have the people who worked with young children historically. We started to speak about them as a teachers only from when preschool education started to involve also pedagogical mission. But pedagogical mission is not only mission for preschool education even today. So these missions are present still, and imagine how difficult can be for preschool teachers when they participate or they are participating in many kind of missions we put into the preschool education. It has also big influence, this history and these different missions influence to the identity of preschool education. I don't want to speak about it very like long time, but maybe just take example. How or what they can have if they have different names or different naming. We should be very sensitive when we are speaking about in different countries, and just to try in In Bahasa Indonesia, we discussed how you call this profession. Are they in Bahasa Indonesia guru, or they have another name? Who they are? When we are speaking about elementary education, we can directly speak about teachers or about guru. But when we are speaking about those who are in kindergarten, in some countries they don't call them teachers. They call them pedagogists. They call them educators. And this is a little different as a teacher. So what name they used to use when they describe themselves? So this identity can be formed by the way how we call them. It's really difficult to explain because now we are speaking in English and we only say teachers, teachers, teachers. But it is not very sensitive because we can have different name, especially for the group of people who are like teachers in kindergarten. And it is also, the name is also mirror of the, and it is mirror of the which preschool education and care. It is also, you know, it is also a quite interesting question how the identity of those who are working in kindergarten is formed or is forming as a teaching profession. You know, we can have research about, for example, how preschool teachers perceive themselves when we teachers. Are they the same? Are they status? Who is higher position among the another professions is still moving, and we can see also that they want to be similar as the primary or secondary teachers, but they also want to be different. What does it mean for them? Also, we can speak about identity, which is formed by the qualification training and level of their professional education. Teachers or pre-primary teachers in different countries or in the same country, they have different level of education. So if you take that, for example, primary teachers, their minimum qualification is master degree, and preschool teachers is less, so it has also influence to their identity. Should they have the same level of education, or should what does it have? What does it also identity is also formed where I am or where I do my profession. Is something else, and my perception, self-perception is different when I am in kindergarten and when I am in the school. In some countries, the big issue is kindergarten school? Is it a part of the school system, or it is a part of social system? So, and this question or this issue is also or has influence to the self-perception of the people who are working there. So, identity of teachers is very complicated. I don't mean that psychologically complicated, but there's many aspects. And if we can understand of this profession, we should be aware of these aspects of professional identity. Also, we should be aware that a profession or it is just the same as I mentioned before, but and at the present time, mission of early care and education is really multitasking. Just compare with elementary education. So when we are aiming our attention to the early childhood, what we can see now, I'm speaking about European tradition. Yeah, it is all day full service in one for children. Our kindergarten is one institution, the children are in one classroom, and we are offering them full service in one place, in one institution, and they are together with one profession. Again, what is typical for preschool education when we compare it with elementary education? Preschool education is a mixture of formal, semi-formal, and non-formal education. It is quite still interesting for me, especially when I'm in Indonesia. You used to define preschool education not as a formal education. You used to speak about it as a non-formal education. I'm very confusing. Because for us it is formal education. You define it as a non-formal. But we can have many criterions how to understand what is formal, what is non-formal. But it doesn't matter where we are. But every time it is a really mixture of formal, semi-formal, and non-formal. And okay, if I take this question seriously, kindergarten is a non-formal institution. Non-formal institution cannot have teachers. It must have somebody who is preparing for non-formal education. Yeah? And non-formal educators are actually not teachers, because teachers are for formal education. What is also specific of the preschool education, it is mixture of when you are seeing what is going on in everyday life of the classroom, and compare it with another form, spontaneity and intentionality. In school, you will see more intentionality and less spontaneity. In preschool education, it is mixture. What is very typical for preschool education and also for the profession. In preschool education, it is not like you don't need to be aware about that, but you can see it that when you are doing everyday work, you on the body of children. It is like mirror function of preschool education, because what is the one of the typical issue for preschool or early care and education? About nutrition, about health, about toileting, about sleeping, and so on. And it is part of the profession. It is part of the educational system in education, and you cannot see it in elementary or body is very important but specific education, and together with this mission, you also need to concentrate your activities, learning content, and also which are part of, for example, national curriculum for preschool education. And something more, we are not in preschool education only service for children. It is also service for parents directly, indirectly, but very strongly, it is service for economy, because we see the young children as people who are economically productive when they are adult. So this is why we are speaking that we are preparing our new generation. And we speak about new generation about about somebody who will develop country, and mostly as elements who are economically productive and active. So, and when we are speaking about parents, we must to take into consideration or accept the parental expectations as well. Just now, I will say again, and I want to stress the second paragraph, that this profession is oriented simultaneously to the children, to the community as such, and to the society. Sometimes problem is that we used to see preschool teachers as somebody who is concentrated on the children, especially when we are speaking about child-centered approach. But it is not enough to speak about teachers who are oriented to the children, because through the children, or we also need to understand that through the children we are service for the community and for the society as such, because society is the framework of our life. And especially when we are speaking about inclusive education, you cannot speak about inclusive education when you don't take into consideration the community and the society. Just example, when you have some excluded children in kindergarten, why they are excluded? Not because of they are some individually excluded. They are excluded through the community or the family they live. So when we are speaking especially about inclusive education, we cannot speak only about children. It is necessary to carry out inclusive education together, institutionally, uninstitutionally, which means with families and with the community where our activities we are doing. So we cannot be oriented with teachers only inside in kindergarten, but also the thinking or activities must go to external environment. What is quite sorry. What is quite important also in the kindergarten. In kindergarten, especially, we don't have only teachers. We must take into consideration that when we are speaking about bigger kindergartens, which has more than one person as a teachers. Normally in kindergarten we have teachers, we have pedagogical assistants, we have chiefs, we have the persons who are cleaning, but all of them are part of the institution, and all of them should participate in doing education and supporting development, working with parents, working in multitasking issues which are involved in this institution. So all goals we have in preschool education is achieved through the entire early childhood education and care team, including chiefs, including cleaning ladies, yeah, and everybody of them should share a joint mission and to be aware their task, how they can support children by doing their own job. So, for example, when we see a good or well-developed school curriculum for preschool education, this curriculum doesn't speak only about teachers, but speak about all adults who are working with children, everybody, yeah. Because we know that not all missions we mentioned before can be done only by the one profession as a teachers. It is done by different qualification, different positions, and different task making in education there. The leader for this team in preschool education, it is teacher, yeah, teacher, which is like the head of the team. I don't mean administratively, I mean pedagogically, or I mean for all or who can put together all missions we are doing in preschool. So, especially when we are speaking about inclusive education, what does it mean? Just very briefly, the kindergarten staff must have internal integrity. What does it mean? Awareness of the common goals of all ECET staff. It is teamwork. It is open communication between the team and open communication with environment, which is external aspect of preschool education. And just I want to stress again that professionalism is not only in working with children, but also in cooperation and communication with all relevant adults. So maybe just last sentence or last idea that I think that it is quite difficult to speak about professionalism as an individual characteristic, but we should speak about professionalism as a team, or who is subject of the professionalism. It is not only one person, it is all team working together in one institution, which is kindergartens or your kanak-kanak. Thank you very much. So it is enough what I would like to say you, and wish you a nice day, and hopefully directly in Gorontalo. Thank you for invitation, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Professor Brano, for interesting topic. I would like to mention a few things, but before that, I would move to the second speaker, that is Dr. Mary Kerridge. She's a lecturer from Moi University, Kenya. She is areas of expertise around curriculum, instruction, and educational media. And she has been working for 30 years as a teacher and a teacher in the teacher educator area of early childhood and also primary education from Kenya. And she's a keen academic who has articles in many reputable journals. Without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Mary Kerridge to present her presentation for today. Hello, Dr. Mary, can you hear my voice?
Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. I can hear you.
Good morning. Actually,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you. Here we are good in afternoon, actually, but I think in Kenya it's still morning, isn't it?
Sorry. I think the time difference is a bit confusing.
Yeah, so
it is still morning here in Kenya.
Okay, so interesting.
It's not
Good
yet
morning
10
then.
o'clock.
Yeah. Dr. Mary, are you ready to present your presentation?
Yes, I am.
All right then. Now our staff will help with the PowerPoint, so you can start your presentation, please, Dr. Mary.
Thank you. So they'll help me to do the presentation.
Yes, they will share. Boleh ditampilkan materi dari Dr. Mary? Yeah, I think they're still working to show it now. So what time is it in Kenya right now? Is it 8 a.m.?
No, it is 9:50.
Oh, 9:50.
a.m.
Yeah, so yeah, it's
Yes.
morning, but I think it's okay, right, to start the presentation now?
Yes, there is no problem.
All right, so maybe it takes a few times, so if you can share your presentation. Is that okay? Can you?
Let me see.
All right.
Are they sharing or?
Oh, not showing it, not showing yet, but yeah, I think they're still trying.
Okay, let me leave them to share.
Okay, so you want to share it? Okay, right.
So, do I share?
Oh, I think they have to make you the co-host first.
I can share. I can wait for them to share so that I don't have to keep on moving. I can see it there.
All right. So I think they're still trying. Maybe take a few times. I think it's showing now.
It's okay.
Can you see it on your screen?
Yes, I can see.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, no, it has disappeared again.
Yeah, I think they're still working on that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first slide, I think.
Yeah, okay. So as I said, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
All participants. Good afternoon, Popala. I can see Popala, who is not to me.
Yes.
It's morning here as well.
Yes, I'm honored to be given this opportunity to be a note speaker in this very important conference. I'm grateful for this gesture. And I will straight away go to the topic. I will bring my it is actually a speech
Okay.
because of the fact that I am going to just set the pace for this conference. So I went straight away to the topic of the conference.
Okay.
But before I go there, I want to say that here in Kenya and most parts of the sub-Saharan Africa, as Pala said, we have the primary school, secondary school, and then higher education, that is colleges and universities. And during our normal time, schools ran for 3 months, and then 1 month was for holiday, which means in a year, we had 3 holidays. And therefore, pandemic arrived, I should say, it was a bit worrying to having our learners in school for 9 months in a year. And this pandemic, every area of human life, including education. And all of us know that when COVID-19, when it arrived, I want to put it in quotes, it brought a lot of panic world over. And in most countries, my country included, schools had to be closed very abruptly. And these had adverse effects, not only on the process of education, but also to the teachers and the parents. Considering the fact that children go to school not only for learning, but for security and safety, are going about their businesses. In Kenya, for example, most public schools are actually, and parents take their children there so that they can go about their businesses, knowing that their children are safe in the hands of the teacher and within the confines of the school. Next. So, we were in a crisis, and especially in education, because it is then understanding education. The teacher found this is the only time that many people and other professionals all over realize that the teacher is a very important person. I know in most countries in the world, the teacher is normally dismissed. It is during this time that stakeholders, so that the teacher is an important person. So education, apart from being a human right, plays a significant role and has a lasting effect on their lives as adults. So the worry was that if children are not, what will happen to them in future? Because you all remember that during COVID, there was a lot of despair. Even us as educators, almost thought that the world had come to an end. Because we did not know what to do, when it would end, and whether we had any plans, not only for us, but for our children. Next. While school closures seemed to be logical during that time of the pandemic, the impact was devastating, especially for countries with already low learning outcomes and high dropout rates. I want to say that, for example, in Africa, especially in rural and in disadvantaged societies within urban areas, children, having been idle, started engaging in unbecoming behavior. And in my country, there were so many pregnancies because children following them up, they were everywhere to school. This started bringing a lot of discussion and fear among parents. Next. There was hue and cry. Alternative options must be given. And I call them here. So the options like distance learning was brought in, but still that was out of reach for many children, especially children coming from poor backgrounds and especially difficult circumstances. There were parents who don't own phones, mobile phones, because teachers started coming up with new innovations by using the social media, like WhatsApp. But at the same time, not all parents had this WhatsApp. So again, teachers are to that little education reach these children. But after some time, it was seen that some of those distant learning strategies were not tenable because not all children would be accessed. I particularly want to talk about children in far areas. For example, in most parts of Africa, there are children living in deserts, very far from major towns. Parents are nomads, that is, they move from place to place in search of pasture for their animals. So it was not easy to reach these children, even with WhatsApp or radios. Some of those places have no internet. So sometimes educators, right from the at the national level decided to reopen schools gradually and to so I should say that there had to be change in the way education is carried out. And this still stands today because we are not yet out of the woods. And business is not as usual. So innovative ways had to be brought about to ensure that children went to school in the midst of all this difficult time. And the first change was that of the mindset. Remember, as educators or any change to occur, you must change the way you think. The teacher now, as one of my, the predecessor that spoke, I had to stop, especially the primary school, the ECD teacher, who is not only a teacher, but a carer. The teacher in the had to readjust their thoughts so that they come up with solutions of handling these children who are in puberty and are preteens. Because in primary school, children's age range from 7 to 13, and in some places 14 to 15, because of their circumstances.
All right. Excuse me, Dr. Mary. About the time, you still have like 5 minutes. Is that all right?
Yes, just rush for me there.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Next. So this called for innovative ways, and these innovative ways centered around getting services together for their learning, health, well-being, and other needs of the learners. It also meant that there had to be support to catch up with the lost time. And finally, preparing and supporting teachers to address learning and incorporate technology. Next, please. So here I was particularly interested with the teacher, because this burden during the new normal lies squarely on the shoulders of the teacher. And the teacher had to be creative and imaginative in order to come out with innovations that will enable the process of learning to move on. The teacher had to learn and do so continuously. Next one. This famous quote has never been appropriate as it is today, that whoever teaches learns in the act of teaching. Whoever learns teaches in the act of learning. So teachers are to learn new ways using technology, using Zoom, using video, and many other technologies that may not be technology-based. They had to think of new ways. They also had to look at their pedagogy to come up with child-centered, learner-centered approaches so that children can work on their own as they keep social distance. Also, the classroom now, in the minds of the teacher, moved, and it meant that learning was not only confined on the four walls, within the four walls of the classroom, but learning had to take place even outdoors and sometimes at the home. A new of the learning. So parents also had to be so that they are able to monitor the learning of the child. So these innovations centered around these changes and new thinking. Next one, please. So in summary, the teacher had to adapt pedagogical strategies that support learning during this new normal. The teacher also had to redefine the locus of learning so that they know that learning does not only take place within the classroom, but outside. And learning also can take place in activities, not necessarily academic related, that learning could still be designed to take place even when children are doing other activities within the school and outside. And then finally, they are to adjust their conceptualization when learning, because now learning has to take place everywhere and anywhere. And finally, the teachers are to revisit their beliefs on their own professional development and capacity building. One thing that they need to, that they have to learn is that sometimes for you to develop professionally, you do not have to wait for teacher trainers or Ministry of Education inspectors and supervisors, but you have to take your own initiative to learn new ways in order to cope with the new normal. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Dr. May. Explanation about how we can redefine teacher role and how important to be a continuous learner, because we are a teacher who keep upgrade our knowledge. Well, now to our third speaker. Yeah. All right. Professor Dr. Aris Munandar, MPD, the chairman of Ismapi. Prof. Aris Munandar was rector of Universitas Negeri Makassar from 2008 to 2016, and works actively in educational field and policy, and also without a doubt his leadership has brought many benefits to his institution and also inspiring many people around him. Please, without waiting for long, we welcome Professor Aris Munandar to deliver your presentation. Please, time is yours, sir.
Thank you. I try to in a short time. Okay. To present my.
Yeah. Maybe the staff will help to show the PowerPoint of Professor Aris Munandar. And Pak Aris Munandar is here with us live, not in Zoom, and for that we would like to thank you very much for giving your precious time to come here in Gorontalo. I know it's been a long and tired journey, but you
no problem, I think.
Thank you. Yes, you can start.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, all speakers, Pupala, PhD from University, Tranava University, head of the Educational Administration, Pak Dr. Ardiansa, Secretary of Educational Administration Department, Ibu. Thank you, Bu Anissa from Padang. Yes. Six, I think. Pak Manaf Sumantri, sorry. Pak Manaf Sumantri from Bengkulu. Oh, it is from all of area of Indonesia. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, I try to show some opinion about building resilience in education in the time of new normal. Lesson learned from Indonesian experience in the two years later era. And I found that ICT have a significant role in educational management. Next slide. Two ICT main roles in education. You know, the first one is digital, virtual or digital learning. Several supporting ICT in learning, like learning management system, online and blended learning, digital, etc. And especially in management, in educational management, several contribution of ICT management systems, decision-making process, budgeting, monitoring and evaluation, supervision, virtual leadership, digital library, new student admission, etc. And the next presentation I want to focus to digitalize, or next slide, ICT-based innovation in education management. There are at least 3 innovation in educational management in recent years: virtual leadership, or created by information and communication technologies. The TIK, ICT, information and communication technology. In education, especially in COVID era, virtual leadership used in activities, team coordination in different area or different places, decision-making process, monitoring and evaluation, controlling, and also reporting. Most frequent application used are Zoom, Google Meet, Skype, etc. Next slide. Yes. Virtual leadership attribution. There are 4 attribution of virtual leadership: the participatory, flexible time and place, ICT utilization, and last, teamwork. Teamwork as a core of the concept virtual leadership. Okay. Next slide. There are 6 virtual leadership competence: communication, social competence, team competence, change competence, technology competence, and trust competence. And my research found that technology competence is low, still low, and then communication, social, team, change, still medium, but special for change competence still over 51.3%. Okay, that's the next presentation, the next slide. The second innovation is virtual academic supervision. Same as virtual leadership, academic supervision, virtual academic supervision, ICT too. And in example, in some implementation from some research like Fendi 2020 found that the online supervision technique implemented by the principals was by asking the teachers to send a recording or evidence of the learning process via email, WhatsApp. The next sample, Warmansyah 2020, found that supervising done by the principals was a daily monitoring or daily discussion by virtual meeting and WA group. The last research found that implementing a class observation of supervising technique using closed circuit television media or CCTV. Next slide. Next slide about the third innovation in educational management.